Hello, and
Right.
thank you for doing this interview with me today. Welcome to McKenna. I'm going to be talking with KyAira, and she is the founder of Yokyni Yoga. I say that right?
Yeah, KyAira.
KyAira.
Uh-huh.
KyAira. And could you tell us a little bit about Yokyni Yoga?
Yeah, so I actually founded it this year. So it's a platform and kind of a brand where I've decided to kind of create this space to be able to bring yoga and the practice of like meditation and just overall wellness into my community, and mostly focus on bringing that to people who it's new to. So like not necessarily people who already know about it, but people who would be like their first time taking a yoga class, who, don't know how to meditate, and they're like, oh, not too sure where to start.
Right. Cool. So, what was your motivation behind, starting Yokyni Yoga? So, because you're focusing basically on people who have minimal knowledge of what it is, and so what kind of inspired you to start this?
I think being in that space, like being that person who didn't have it, but like needed it and didn't really know that I needed it until it came to me. And so just knowing like how much it helped me manage my emotions and help just in the overall health department and overall how it changed my life. I want to be able to just share that experience and share that opportunity, even if it doesn't, completely change people's lives the way that it changed mine. I think that there's valuable lessons in mindfulness and paying attention to yourself and paying attention to your body.
So is this for women and men, children, or
anybody?
Okay. So you are focused out of Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
And where were you before? Like, what were you doing before you decided to be in Houston and start this yoga initiative?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I moved here from Washington, D.C. at the beginning of this year, so in January of 2018. And prior to that, I was working full-time for a home builder. And my position was a sales and marketing administrator position, where I was essentially like supporting a sales team. So it was a full-time job, your typical 9 to 5. And so the transition has been like completely flipped, because I left that and came here, and I'm not working full time now. Right. So it's very different.
Got it. So you're like adjusting in your life and kind of trying to exist in the entrepreneur space as well.
Yes.
Okay, so what were some of the things that you felt like you needed to kind of get you started, since you did have, this so much of a change? Like, what were the steps that you kind of took? Like,
the first one I think was like scaling back financially, since I was going from working full time to now, focusing on a business and still having to pay bills. Like, the bills don't stop, even though, your goals change. So having to kind of make sacrifices, and my move out here was like, I wanted to come out here, but then also it was a space for me this is where my I have parents here, so my dad and my stepmom are here, and so it was kind of like a space where it takes a little bit off of me, even though I'm not used to, not living on my own. So it's very different, because I've been on my own for a very long time, but having to make that sacrifice to say, okay, this is the vision that I have, so I need to make some adjustments in order to make this work.
Cool. So how are you able to build your client base, being as though you're in a different place?
So I started off volunteering at a yoga studio. When I first got to Houston, I knew that studios do like a program, it's kind of like an energy exchange program where you'll basically like check people in, work the front desk kind of thing, small administrative things in exchange for a free membership. So I could take unlimited classes, and just being in that space allows you to meet teachers, meet students, and just talk to people who come from all different walks of life, people who are full-time instructors, people who work full-time and also instruct on the side. So just a bunch of different people being exposed to, that I'm being exposed to when I started doing that. So that's one way. And then another way was just like doing an online search, like who needs yoga teachers, what studios need yoga teachers. And so that led me to an opportunity that I'm currently doing where I've partnered with a woman who owns it's like a mobile studio. Like she doesn't actually have a physical studio, but she sends teachers out to whatever kind of contract she has. So right now I'm on an assignment where I visit middle schools and elementary schools, and I'm teaching the kids and the parents. So that's how I found my opportunity so far in this like short period of time.
Awesome. So you talked about mindfulness earlier in terms of the effects that yoga, can have. When you think about your mindset, right? Was this something that you always wanted to do? Like, was your mindset always, I'm gonna be a yoga teacher, I'm gonna do something on my own? Like, what was your mindset, growing up, even that kind of put you on this path?
Yeah. Well, firstly, like, no, I don't think that I would have thought in 1,000 years that I would be pursuing this. Like, I remember being younger, and I at some point wanted to be a chef, wanted to be like these, like, random things. And then when I first went to college, I went to Penn State, and initially my major was like biology or something. And I don't even remember what I was planning to do with that. Like, why? I think I was just like, oh, I like science, so major in biology. I don't even think I had a real plan. But after my first year, and I had to like really decide on a major after you kind of take your core classes your first year, I was like, what am I into? Like, what am I passionate about? What do I like? And I knew that psychology was that. And so I set my major as psychology, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go into counseling. Like, I'm going to go into being a therapist. Cool. Okay. And then my senior year, actually, I took an ethics class, and it was like my professor would try to put us in like real life situations. So literally we would play the counselor, therapist, whatever, and she was the patient, and I was just like, this is maybe not what
the direction I want to go.
Need to be doing right now, right? So I was like, okay, well, let me hold off on that for a second, because I don't know that I'm ready for that. I think that therapy, to be a therapist and a counselor, that it takes a lot. Like, it's hard work. And I don't think that I was ready, and I also wasn't sure that I wanted to continue on to go to grad school at that time. So I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? So I kind of just fell into the full-time work. It wasn't where my passion lied. And so I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And honestly, I truly feel like I was just kind of led to yoga, and because the passion was there, I just had to meet it, because it just like clicked all of a sudden. And then slowly but surely, it's all come together where I'm realizing, okay, yoga is a form of therapy. And I do feel like naturally I'm a healer, and I should, I want to help people. How do I do that? And it kind of just like all falls into place. Like the universe works like that.
Yeah, awesome. So when we're talking about the universe, right? I know I talked to you before about the things that kind of go on in your mind, right? When you know what your purpose is, or you at least are even led to the purpose, like you were explaining. But then there are some things that happen in your brain, right? Sometimes it may be fear, or things that can kind of stop you from achieving your goals. What can you tell us about any of those types of experiences?
Yeah, so fear definitely is one of the big ones too. And my own experience was kind of extreme. Like, I don't know very many people who just like quit their full-time job and moved to a different city and was like, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, it doesn't always look like that. And that is very scary in itself. But even the small changes can be scary to take that leap of faith and to really believe in yourself. And work at something that isn't like the norm. Like, people are like, oh, that's what you have going on, kind of like entrepreneur, okay, like, but what else are you doing?
Right.
What else are you doing? So it can be scary. It can be scary to not have that, in my case, to not have that financial security. To where it's like, I work a full-time job. I know this check is coming. I have to, in my case, I have to kind of figure out where this is coming from, because it hasn't paid off yet. I haven't reached my goals when it comes to my yoga business. I'm really just getting started. I think another thing that kind of came up is support from other people, just not being too sure. Like I said, they're like, oh, that's what you're doing. They don't really understand the vision. They don't really understand truly, especially maybe like parents or something like that who are used to like work, you go to work, you pay your bills, and that's that. It's just kind of we live in a different time, where it's like, yes, I can make this work. It might take a minute, but just trust the vision, trust the process. So yeah, those are two things that I've definitely come into, or have presented themselves in my life on my journey so far.
Awesome. So actually, I meant to ask you this earlier. Could you tell us what Yokyni yoga means? Like, is that a word that you made up, or is that a word, like, tell us about the name of the business?
Yeah, so in yoga, the practitioners of yoga are called yogis, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard of, like a yogi. But the feminine version of that's used sometimes, not as widely as a yogi, because yogi is kind of like it's interchangeable, universal. You can use it, but a yogini is the feminine version. So it's kind of a play on my name, where my name's KyAira, my nickname is Key. Throw it in there, it's like Yokyni. So
cool. Okay, nice. So I think a lot of times, and I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what you said, that when you are following your passion, right, and you're going in this direction, so you have owned Yokyni, right? This is who you are, and the results aren't happening immediately. So I think sometimes, and this is the reason why I think some people maybe give up or get discouraged. But what is some advice that you can give to someone who is in your same position, who, you know, has decided, okay, I'm going to follow my vision, but I'm not getting my results immediately.
Yeah.
Like, what is some advice you can give someone?
I would say keep an open mind, because you'll have to, things change so quickly. Like, you'll have to work with what comes when it comes to, um, starting your own business and continuing when things are slow and you feel like it's not really paying off. It's like, okay, I'm going to keep at it, but in order to address, in order to pay these bills, I need to do something else. So, like, for me, for example, it hasn't been immediate, and I've found other ways of making money that still allow me to the time and space that I want to focus on my business, but also, gets the real stuff of life done. Like, life doesn't stop. So just keep an open mind and think outside of the box when it comes to what you need to get done. Because it's easy to just say, oh, whatever, let me just go back to what I was doing before. Let me just, find my full-time job again. Let me come back to it later, or keep working my full-time job and just forget about it for now because I don't have the time. So yeah, just keep an open mind, and don't give up. Like, if it's truly your passion and you love doing it, just keep at it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this interview today.
You're welcome.
Could you tell us how to get in contact with you, how we can see you on the net, and when any events that you have coming up?
Yes, so you can follow me at Yokyni on Instagram, YOKYNI. I have some things in the works. I am trying to transition into offering some private sessions, and so yeah, you can keep. I'll keep you guys updated on my Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me.